there. I'm Amy.Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. Welcome to another Ask the Trainer episode where I answer questions you may have about your eating or movement or how they work together in about 7 minutes. Today's question is, how can I get a strong booty? That's just what we're going to go with. You can say boot, or you can say butt, you can say glutes, you can say behind, whatever. We're just going to go with booty because that's a little more PG than some. Okay. And this is the first, I have a question to the question. When did this become a thing? Like, I love strength, right? Like I love that people are wanting to get strong bodies, and I'm totally into it. But like somewhere I missed the memo that we're supposed to have super big booties. I don't really know when that came. I think it's because I've been focused on my abs my entire life. I think that's probably what happened is I just missed it. It's like I missed all kinds of things when I had little kids because that's all I could focus on was my little kids. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. How can you get a strong booty? Okay, well, let me tell you a little story. I have been teaching group fitness classes since my 15-year-old was a baby. And I very quickly became known as the leg lady at the gym I taught at. It didn't matter what we were doing. We were always adding in squats and lunges. And so I walked in to a medical professional's office when I injured myself. And she said, well, I want to do a squat assessment. And I was like, okay. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh, I got this. I do squats all the time. And so I did a few squats for her. And she said, oh, your glutes are really weak. And I was like, what? Like, no, they're not. You're mistaken. My glutes are not weak. Well, it turned out my gluteus maximus, which is it's the biggest muscles that we have in our body. That was really strong from all of my squats and lunges. But what I had failed to do was comprehensively strengthen all of my glutes. We have several different muscles. I think it's 5 off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that kind of go more laterally rather than up and down. So your gluteus maximus kind of goes from the bottom of your back down. And then we have other smaller ones that go from side to side. And then we have your gluteus minimus, which is kind of on the inside, but it goes up and down. And then you have your gluteus medius, which is on the outside. Now, if you've been listening all month, you know that I also call this the gush. It is that point from your hip bone in between that and your greater trochanter joint, which is that where kind of your femur connects in. So it's that space in between. So it's important to be strengthening all of those muscles if you are wanting a strong booty. And we're not really focused on what it looks like, but if we're wanting to strengthen it all, which by the way, strong glute muscles all around are really helpful for everything. You know this. I don't need to be telling you. Okay, so what are some of the things that you can do? The first thing are glute bridges. Now, there are a couple different ways that people do this. Honestly, my favorite way is just back to the basics. Lay on the ground, pull your core in, pull your belly button to your spine, tilt your hips forward a little bit and have your knees bent. You want your feet about 12 to 16 inches away from your butt, and then lift your hips up in the air and squeeze your glutes. You've got to squeeze your glutes in order for this to work. So take those up and down. Once you're familiar with that and once you're comfortable with that, you can go to single leg, one and then the other, which in general, by the way, side note, anytime you do anything unilaterally, which is doing just one arm, just one leg, you are going to be activating more of the muscles around there. So that's a really great way to strengthen and to focus on all of those glute muscles. You can also I also recommend some gluteus medius movements, that gush episode. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. And I'm just actually going to remind you right now, if you haven't gotten it, go get the Squat Free Strong Legs download that I have. It's free over at gracedhealth.com/stronglegs. And in it, you get 12 movements that focus on 7 different muscles, including these gluteus medius. And then I give you a video that gives you the proper form and some printable workouts for that. But anyway, we've got some gluteus medius movements or exercises in there. But again, back to basics, what's super simple, lay on the ground, pretend like you're on a yoga mat if you're not, and put your feet, your rear, and your shoulder all in line with the back of the leg. Then take your top leg, so stack your feet on top of each other. Take your top foot and rotate your hip up, toe down, so your knee is kind of rotated in, and then lift up and down. You just want to go to like a 45-degree angle and then take it back down. If you can, hover that foot about 6 inches above the other one and then go up and down again. If you go up too far, you're going to lose the activation in your gluteus medius, which if that's our focus, we don't want to do that. So, you can do that for a certain amount of time, try it start off, do it for 20 seconds. How does that feel? Feels good? Do it for another 10 seconds. If it feels good from that, do another minute or go to a minute or something like that. So again, go to that point where you're starting to feel the heat, starting to feel the fire. Your body's different than my body. You might be able to do it longer than me or vice versa. But that's a really great, super simple one. You don't need anything to do. Now, once that gets stronger, if you want to add those loops in, those resistance loops, that's a great additional toy, but it's not necessary. You can get the same effect by just doing it more. The final thing I want to remind you of, and I think this gets really overlooked and forgotten, especially by yours truly, is do not underestimate the mind-body connection. If you are strengthening those glutes, and if you are doing your glute bridges or your side-lying leg lifts like we just talked about, focus on those muscles. Don't be thinking about what you're going to do next. Don't be thinking about what's on your to-do list or what you're going to eat. Focus on those muscles, and that will help to activate them. It's kind of like when you're driving and you're learning to drive and they say, look to where you want to be going. Otherwise, your hands are going to follow your eyes. It's the same thing. Visualize the muscles that you are wanting to work, and that will help strengthen them. I can't tell you why, but I can just tell you it works. Thinking about it turns it on. There's a whole lot of brain science to that I am not smart enough to know, but I am smart enough to tell you to don't forget to think about what you're doing. Mind, body. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.